This is a Cobalt Drake, and this is my Cobalt Drake. Oh, this thing is gigantic. Let's just have a little more in-depth look at this thing. As we all know, Cobalt Drake is made of 3 separate parts compared to its other parts in its system. The flat bit, the fore ratchet, and the layer itself. And my Cobalt Drake, which is 3.69 times bigger,
nice,
has made of the exact same parts. A flat bit, a 460 ratchet, and don't forget the gigantic layer. And if you are wondering, just like the regular old Cobalt Drake, the gigantic Drake itself can be put together the exact same way as the normal Cobalt Drake. Some of you can already see some of the slight little differences. I made a few tiny mishaps on this part here, which, considering this is my first test print ever of one of these, yeah, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's still cool enough. Now, most of you I know is probably from the video that you're going to be seeing on screen, and there will be a link in the description and comments, which will be Left Burst's gigantic Phoenix video. I made that thing. As you can see on screen, here is the photos that I made of that giant Phoenix, which was my second ever giant Beyblade, and it turned out so much better. Unlike this Cobalt Drake here, its bit chip actually rotates, and it fits way more snug. But let me go into more in depth of how I built this thing and show you guys how to make your own version of this. You can see in Left Burst's video, he actually had the giant launcher, but for me, sadly, my printer is currently broken and it's welded in there. I have the new piece, but I have to get a new piece for it. That printer has definitely not given me a giant headache at all trying to build this thing, considering part of it was broken while I was printing both Beyblades, so, there's a few failed prints, let's just say that. Not a giant mess of, printer filament. Anyways, back into Cobalt Drake here. So, as you can tell, it is 1-to-1 of giant Cobalt Drake. And as you can see, the chip is the only thing different. That is because that is hand-drawn by me. And if you want any of these stickers like this for your own base, there will be a link in the description to my artistry, and you can see on screen. All you have to do is make an account, commission me, and just ask for what art you want. And don't worry, I am not stingy on prices, so... But anyways, back to this. So Cobalt Drake, just like I said, is made of the exact same parts. However, each of these has different parts. So for example, the gigantic flat bits is just one piece. I did not bother making it 2. It was just too much work. And for the gigantic 460, as you can see, there is one piece, 2, 3, 4 different pieces to this right here. And it does still work. However, when you do get this thing printed, this little piece right here, as you can see, that right there needs to be sanded down a little bit. Just because for a ratchet to work, it has to bend over that. As you can see, this piece right here warps just a tiny little bit, but since we are giants compared to these little tiny Beyblades, and I did not do that right, we can just quickly turn them like there's no issue whatsoever. However, with the giant ones, you have to have a bit more strength. For example, Noah's 960 that I made him, I kind of made it a bit too powerful to where you have to unlock it with this piece pointing down. But that's a normal design thing. It just makes his stronger than mine. And then with Cobalt Drake's layer here, it is made of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 if you count the sticker, but I don't really count that. And yes, this clear piece is 3D printed, and I can show you how to make that as well. So, let's put Cobalt Drake back together. Sadly, no launching, but I can do a hand spin. Oh, God. Not a salad video if I don't drop the launcher. Alright, here we go. Giant Cobalt. There we go. Gigantic Cobalt Drake. Make your first Beyblade that is going to be gigantic. First thing you have to do is pick your favorite Beyblade out of here. And just for this video, we are going with none other than my favorite, Night Shield, and turning this thing gigantic and getting it ready to print. Some of you are already probably wondering, Salad, how am I going to put my favorite Beyblade X-Bay into gigantic when I don't even know how to 3D model at all? Well, guess what? I have got you all covered just for this video in the link in the description right now, or you could go on Tinkercad.com and search up LL Salad. There is a gigantic file built of all of the Beyblade layers that I have collected for all of you just to search through and build. And yes, most of them should be precisely to the point of what bay that you want. The only ones that are missing are the newer UX bays, Weiss Tiger, and Kill Shark or Shark Edge. I have not been able to find those yet, but if someone does, I will gladly add them to it. And I will also have a link to Juni Gatsukun's old friend of the channel, his all lines of bits that he has made, just for him. So both of those will be in the link in the description to get those gigantic parts, but let's go ahead and switch over to Tinkercad right quick. Now that we're on Tinkercad, as you can see, all you have to click is the button known as Tinker This. As soon as the document is opened here, you'll see, if your internet's as slow as mine, it'll slowly load in everything here. There you can see, there's an Arrow Pegasus already starting to show in. And all you have to do is click this little button right here that looks like a square. And then you get zoomed out to every one of these. So, after you have chosen the Beyblade that you want, and Tinkercad actually be nice to me. Thank you, Tinkercad. Now you finally load everything. As you can see, we have... Let me just zoom in here. We have Hell's Chain, Hell's Scythe, Phoenix Feather, all these wonderful bays, but we are here to just look for this guy right here. And as soon as you found the bay and this army of Beyblades right here, you just tap on it and then click the square again to, yep, there is Night Shield. So, here's what we're going to have to do now. You will need to go to the home page of Tinkercad again. There we go. You're going to hit the button known as Create 3D Design. And it's going to give you a random name up in the top corner. Slowly loading! It has loaded in. As you can see here, we're just going to change the name to something that you know you will not forget. If I can stop being dyslexic. There we go. Giant Night Shield right up there. Then you're going to go to My Design again. Drag your mouse over both of these. Do Control-C. Then Control-V. There's that. Now, we go back here. Find the ratchet that we want, which should be this one right here, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. Yeah, that's 80. As you can see here, we have 60, 70, 80, and 85. So we're going to do Control-C again. These pieces out. Then, we need to find the 3 here. So there's a 3 right there. Control-C. Then Control-V. And my dumb brain clicked the 4. Next, you need the adapter piece. Ba-da. We need the gear chip. All 5 pieces. This little adapter right here. Super small piece. And now we need this little clear piece. And now we need this little clear piece right up here. So Control C and then Control V. Now over to Johnny's file, we're going to do tinker this. And as soon as it loads, there's all our bits. We're going to find the needle bit, zoom in on it, Control C, and then Control V on our other dock. Now the fun part, taking this piece right here, the gear chip, and multiplying everything by 3.69, making our gigantic parts. Now we have our gigantic gear chip done, and our burst resistance, our 80 ratchet, our giant clear chip, our giant needle bit, our giant 3-part Night Shield's metal, and last but not least, our shield bottom part. And with that,
I've assembled all 5.
Alright, now it's time to turn everything into an STL. So let's click our burst resistor here, click this right up here, and type in burst resistor. There we go. Alright, now we click this little export button, and then click STL. And now time to do this on every single part. Alright, next part is this, spin core. Where's the C there? There we are. Alright, and then click the export button, STL again. Let's just go ahead and skip to the end here. And with that, makes all of our parts. Now let's show you how to 3D print this. Alright, finally we're at the very, very last part and the easiest one. And since most of you don't have a 3D printer, since I do, this is how you can easily 3D print anything you want. So you just type in JLC 3DP into Google. It already shows here. Where are you? Right here. And there will be a link in the description for this as well, in case you guys don't want to search this up at all. But here we are. Oh, they have multi-jet fusion. Okay. So we're going to, of course, click on 3D printing. Quote now. And now we get to add our 3D files. So it'll show up here. Come on, where's my downloads? There we are. All of our stuff right here. So let's start one at a time. Let's go with the blade. Now considering this is a gigantic file, this is going to be a little bit expensive. Alright, so, oh wow, that's not as expensive as I thought it would be. Alright, so, as you can see here, we have a whole bunch of different choices. Resin is not the strongest for battling, so I would recommend plastic, but there is metal. If we click the metal right here, this is where, yeah, that right there is why I didn't get this thing printed in metal. Anyways, we'll go to plastic since it's the cheaper option. 65 bucks, okay. Wow. Alright, so there is PLA. I use ABS. Wow, that's expensive. Of course, if you can't afford the plastic and you just want this thing to look like the giant Beyblade, you can go with the resins, cheaper option. How much is nylon? Okay, yeah. It would either be this resin. Nope. It'd be SLA resin. Only 16 bucks. So roughly 20. And then you can choose any colors that you want. This is the clear resin, by the way. For example, if you want the whole bay to look completely clear, which I might do at some point, there's the option right there. It is 8001 resin. But let's just go ahead and get this thing to whatever you want it to look like. So we'll go... Black resin looks more like metal. There we are. Grayish black. Surface finish. Da-da-da-da. Oh, wow. That's way more expensive. Let's just go with normal white resin. Let's do that with everything else here. So, save to cart. Aha. Forgot about that. Just go to Toy and Entertainment. Toys part. Done. Now we can save it to cart. And of course it logged me out. There we are, got it saved to cart. Now to get all the other files ready and show you how to order. Okay, we have finally gotten everything into our little cart here. I click the cart, why is it not open? Okay, now that we have all of our parts all in one spot, you'll see here, it doesn't really show anything on the summary. You'll have to click the parts that you are ready to purchase. So let's just go ahead and get all of these just clicked up to see. And there we are. All of our parts. So altogether, to print the entire thing, $170, and with shipping, make sure to click, where are you? The cheapest one that you can get to. Which I would recommend FedEx, or it'll show it on the screen. So, you do secure checkout. Let me go ahead and blur that part of it. It'll show address and everything. Click continue. Shipping method. Always make sure it's the cheapest one. Where are we at here? Jesus. Yeah, I would recommend using your own account and stuff, or my FedEx account, something different. For this big of an order, they don't really allow the shipping to be that low. And then continue one more time. Well, it won't let me do that, so let me just click a random number, pop, and then you submit the order to be ready. And that's basically it. And with that, that concludes this video. And now you guys can make any of your giant Beyblades. And if you want to show me them, don't be afraid to go to my Discord server and show me those pictures there. I am excited to see what you guys make in the next few days. Other than that, that will conclude this video. Hope you all enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.